And so it took time.
During that time, didn't something happen where the army came for your brother and your uncle?
Yes. Oh my God, yes. They took hostages. They took 10 hostages on a Friday before the Sabbath. If the town didn't raise a certain sum of money, they were really going to execute these. And the town did. And my uncle came. I remember they even took off his boots. And they took his shoes and his boots off. They took it away. My mother had baked. They came and took the challah away. And there was life there. My mother said, leave it for the kids. They said, we're kids too. They took it. They took the flour, they took the challah. But my uncle was okay. They let him go because they did raise the money. There were a few.
Tell me about the time where they came and they hid them under the table.
Oh, our whiskey. My mother, they had a Duncan 5 table, and that's where she hid it until it ferments or whatever it does. And then we were told, my mother paid off the police. We were told that we have to get rid of this. And other people made it, and someone else had our cover. I remember we had to run for that cover and come back in time to get it. I remember saying, I don't care if we don't eat, because we were so frightened. But it got done, and that's the way it is. My father had brothers who came to visit us. I remember blaming them for what happening, because it happened right after they left. And being 4 years old, I guess I thought it was their fault. You learn to know better. That was life in Russia. We once had to even leave our town. They ignited everything, and we had to abandon it. Then someone else came to get them away. Do you know that the Germans were not abusive or cruel and did nothing that the Russians did? It's unbelievable. To this day, I wonder, what happened to Germany? Hitler? Money? Well, there were stress. Money, money, money. That was happened there. And we left there, and we came in, as I said, to Warsaw in a wagon, a horse and wagon, scared to death at night.
You have to cross some fields and...
It wasn't, I don't think it was that far, except one horse, and there were others. How fast can it go? But you had to cross the border at night, so you pay off, and you're scared if you get caught, what the alternative was, because that did happen to a lot of people who crossed borders into other. But Poland was not good to the Russian Jews that came there. I have no idea why. I never bothered to figure it out.
Tell me about your mother. Who was she? What was she like?
I'd never believed my mother would make whiskey for a living. She was such a quiet, backseat, quiet person. Nobody who met her here would believe that she would make whiskey for a living under those conditions, the terrifying conditions. But some people do what they have to do, I guess. Strength isn't always a noise and loud. She was quiet and her strength was good. I guess I get it from her. She was, I think, stronger than my father mentally, but quieter. My father was still the Boston family. He was a very nice looking man. He left Russia because he was going to be drafted into the Russian army. That's why he ran away. And I had a wealthy uncle. My grandmother had married a man who had a child. His wife had died. And this child, to this day, I can't figure out when and how he came to this country. He became a very, very wealthy man. He's the one that brought my father to this country. And what was the point I was getting to? I was getting somewhere with that.
Father coming over.
Yeah, he helped him to get out of there. And he went to Iowa there and he worked. He was a good sorter of metals. He knew metals. And so I don't know whether he did it peddling. Eventually, he opened up an auto parts shop that was successful. That was here in 1934. And he did well. But he wasn't well, and he gave it up. Too bad.
Now there's a story, a history of scrap metal with Papa George's family. Someone had a scrap metal factory. You were telling me about
George's family, never.
or George's father
No, he
wanting to get into the business.
No, my father was with that. When some people did that and he didn't want to go with them, he went on his own. No, his father worked with Hart Schaeffner Marx all of his life, and his older brother was a lawyer, and also a CPA, and his other brother was a pharmacist, and that's the way. Although your grandfather should have been a dentist. That's really what he wanted to be. He was very, very good with his hands. But at that time, there wasn't money enough to set up, because dentist is equipment, and it's expensive. They didn't have the means, but he would have made a wonderful dentist. He was so good with his hands. Really good.
I'm going to shift gears for a little bit. When you were getting ready to get married,
Oh,
tell us with your brother's situation and the change in the wedding date and what was going on.
where did you remember all this? I've mentioned it before, I suppose. Yeah, we had a date set. My father, who was ill, said to me Saturday night, this was Saturday, he said, "You're getting married tomorrow." He didn't think my brother would live, and he knew that I would I would mourn for long, because our religion, at that time, the Orthodox waited a whole year. They mourned without going to a wedding or having. And so we did. We got everybody together at the house, and we got the rabbi who taught my brother Hebrew, and a few relatives. I don't know how they put it together to this day. And then your grandfather at that time, before the pharmacy, he was going to go into a restaurant. Did you know? And he started a little place. It was a total disaster. We were there 2 months. I was so incompetent with that. Anyway, that was it. He did go, my father wanted him in his business. I think my father expected him to know everything. It didn't work. And so he went into the pharmacy. The two father-in-laws got together, the mortgage, and helped us. And that's where we ended up as pharmacists, but he did like the pharmacy business.
So you just, your father said, so you're getting married.
No, wait, we did. Your grandfather never said no. Whatever was, went along, so wonderful, so good. The family, no, there was no problems with that. We did what our parents asked of us then. I don't think that would occur today. I really don't. We just felt it was best for them, knowing what was going to happen. And so we acquiesced. We really did that. Maybe today, there's good kids today too, I'm sure. They shouldn't have such circumstances.
Tell me about the first time you met Uncle Richard.
Uncle Richard? Oh, he's a doll. He came into our house. He was so at home. He ate in our house, went to but Sandy, I'm telling you, he never had a chance from the day she met him. He always says, "Now you tell me."
Why is that? Why didn't he have a chance?
Because she made her mind up. That was going to be her guy. She was only 16 when she met him. And she went with him for 3 years. You know, they waited. He was in downstate. And he decided to go into medicine after they got engaged, actually. Richard, he was like another kid in the house. But Sidney came in older, so it was different. She was older, Harriet was older, he was older, and he wasn't quite as Hamish as Richard. Richard came in like one of the kids. You know, she was 16, he was 20. You know, you just take it for granted when the kids are here.
And the next, Dad and Judy. Tell us about Judy.
Oh, yeah. I was surprised. Your father actually was going with somebody that I liked very much. Really liked her. Nice girl. She went everywhere with us. Got Mother's Day to dinner. She'd go with wherever we went. And suddenly it's over. Bennett was brokenhearted. It was terrible. Nobody could talk to him for months. Nobody talked to Bennett. She really wanted a commitment, and he wasn't ready. He was no ready. And so she was going to date others, though it broke his heart. And she was away at school. You couldn't talk to him. We left him. We left him alone. It was a terrible, sad story. Well, it was to him at that time. Come on, don't laugh. It's very important when you're 20, 22 years old. Too many people forget that, don't they? When they're older, they say, oh, they forgot when they were young. That's the trouble with old people. They all forget what it felt like to break up or to love. Got to remember you were young once.
So how did Judy come around for Daddy?
I don't know how they met, but Judy was part of the girls' club, but then they'd broken up. That wasn't so great for whatever the reasons. And I don't know when, but brought her home. Bennett always brought girls home. Every time a new date, he'd bring all his girlfriends home, and it was fine. They were all from the neighborhood, those areas. All of us lived in one area. Dated, school. It was very nice. You always knew.
And then Sydney?
Sydney came later. Sydney, much later. But they were different. You know, in their 20s. And he was shy. We thought he was lovely, but you know, it was different. We didn't get as close right away. But we were very lucky. We got great guys and a great girl, let me tell you. This mother-in-law lucked out pretty good, this mother-in-law, Eve Jacobson. She really lucked out. Your mother is sweet. She said when you guys got engaged, she said she wanted to be a mother-in-law like I am. That's a great compliment.
None of my brother, my sister, or I, none of us practice religion.
You should sit here.
You can help me answer some questions too, if I forget any.
Careful.
Careful, honey. Thank you very much. I know.
Not at
asked me a
all.
long question.
Honey, you're my granddaughter. What do you mean? You want something, you ask for it.
Thank you. That's good.
Actually, no.
Gonna
you
put
sit
this. How can you put this old face in pictures?
Yeah,
Jesus.
these
look
look
great.
great.
here. Okay.
What role did religion play in your life growing up?
Growing up, I had no choice. My parents were religious.
Okay,
And
stop before we will host up. Sorry.